Hello, my name is Robert Dean Steele, and this is Real Living. Paul saying in Romans chapter 8, verse number 6, and I love Romans chapter 8, because the simple fact is it has so many wonderful truths. In fact, the entire book of Romans has such wonderful truth. In fact, it has so many things to say for you today. I would encourage you to read the book of Romans. But what Romans 8:6 is very simple. It says, so letting your sinful nature control your mind leads to death. Did you know that our battle, the battle that we face, is in the mind? It starts there. You start off with a thought, and that thought can go into a strong thought. It can go into an imagination. It can actually go into a stronghold. Let's say, for example, you're driving down the road and someone cuts you off. That happened to me a couple of years ago when I was driving my bus. A fella cut me off, and to let him know that I was there, I honked on the horn. Well, for the next 5 minutes as we were driving through the streets of Edmonton, he was, pulling up in front of me, pulling beside me, honking at me, giving me the one-fingered salute, acting like a complete jerk. Now, I could have made a decision. In fact, I was making decisions. I'm thinking, what a character this one. And then the Holy Spirit spoke into my heart and he said, you're making a judgment. You're letting that thought become a strong thought. You don't want to make this a stronghold. Now, it doesn't matter what this guy is doing. What you need to do is not do the same. And so from that moment forward, I just basically ignored him and just drove along. Now, folks, it was kind of interesting to see this little 4x4, I don't even remember what it was, doing all this thing. I was in this great big huge bus. If he would have hit me, he would have lost. But you see, the fact was he was angry, and he was letting his anger and the road rage take a hold of him. And I just kind of, ignored him and then drove the other direction. When he came to the stop sign and he went this way and I went that way. And, in that moment, I was hoping that I wasn't being led by the natural man. He says, your sinful nature, it has a propensity towards sin. It wants to take you away from the things of God. It wants to lead you into a path of destruction. And it says, if you let it get a hold of your mind, eventually it's going to lead to eternal and physical and spiritual death. But, he says, letting the Spirit control your mind. And we're not talking about the occasional, Holy Spirit, would you come in this occasion? No, he's talking about a daily, moment by moment, allowing the Spirit to control your mind. Because walking in the Spirit, in the simplest sense, is letting the Spirit control your mind, control your thoughts. Control that first thought, that second thought, that third thought, that fourth thought. Not allowing anything to become an imagination or a stronghold to the point where it literally controls your life. It can happen so easily, and we need to be very wise about that situation. Letting the Spirit control your mind leads to two things. It leads to life. You see, Jesus made the promise. In fact, he said this in John 10:10. He says, this is the motive of the enemy. This is the motive of operation, the MO for the enemy. The thief comes to rob, kill, and destroy. That's what the enemy wants to do. He wants to rob you of God's blessing. He wants to destroy you. He wants to take what you have and take it away from you. He wants to rob you. He wants to kill you. He wants to absolutely, completely, and totally destroy you. If you think for a single moment that the enemy, Satan, has anything good for you, he does not. He's the accuser of the brethren. He's the deceiver. He's the tempter. He wants to destroy you. But Jesus says, I have come to give you life and give it to you abundantly. It's like the old song says, more abundantly, that we might have life, and more abundantly. So let the Holy Spirit come and give you that wonderful life. And then lastly, that peace that passes all understanding. God today wants to give you life and peace. But the difference is letting the Holy Spirit control your thought life. Control your thought life. Because when he does that, that controls your emotions, that controls your actions, because you are what you think. Believe it or not, what you think will sooner or later be followed through in lifestyle. So when you think about the things of God, eventually that lifestyle will come out. If you're thinking about the things of the flesh and the things of this world, that is going to come out in your speech, your attitudes, your motives, your actions, and it's going to lead you to death. So today, letting your sinful nature control your mind leads to death. You don't want that. But letting the Holy Spirit control your mind leads to life and peace. That's what it says in Romans 8:6, and that's what helps give you real living. My name is Robert Dean Steele. You have yourself a great and godly day.